New York just proposed a 5% wealth tax on families trying to leave the state, and the constitutional fight starts on Monday. Donald Trump ordered a full naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz before most Americans had their morning coffee, and oil markets reacted within minutes. Goldman Sachs made an absolute fortune on the chaos in a single quarter. Eric Swalwell resigned from Congress in disgrace this week, and a Texas Republican announced his own resignation on the same afternoon. And 1,000 Hollywood stars signed an open letter begging regulators to block the Warner Brothers deal that would reshape American media. 5 stories that matter for anyone paying attention this morning, served straight from Andrew Meatrich, no spin and no soft talking points included. Let me start with the New York story because it is the one that is about to reshape the entire wealth tax conversation in America for the next decade. Mayor Zoran Mamdani officially unveiled his plan this week, and it is significantly more radical than the campaign version everyone read about last year. Any resident with more than $50 million in assets who tries to relocate to another state will pay a 5% exit tax on their worldwide holdings, not just what they own inside New York. Every bank account, every private jet, every stake in a private company, sitting in a Cayman trust, every single asset regardless of where it is parked. Mamdani framed it as a racial equity measure, saying the average white family in New York City earns about $200,000 a year, while the average black family earns under $20,000. His exact line was that white people own too much stuff, end quote, and the clip went viral within the hour. Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. quietly confirmed they are studying copy-paste versions of the same statute for their own councils. Within hours, the first hedge fund billionaire filed a constitutional challenge in federal district court in Manhattan, arguing the exit tax violates the Commerce Clause and the Takings Clause simultaneously. Wall Street law firms tell me they are already drafting amicus briefs in coordinated batches. This is the most aggressive state-level wealth tax proposal in American history. And whatever you think of the substance, it is going to dominate the governor races in California, New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts for the next 12 months, and into the presidential cycle. Watch the donor money move. If you want this kind of plain English reporting without the partisan static, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with the state you are watching from this morning. YouTube only boosts videos that get a reaction in the first hour of release. Your thumbs up is literally the difference between this video reaching 10,000 people or 50,000 new viewers nationwide. Share it with one friend who still reads the Wall Street Journal on actual paper, with a pencil and a coffee. Second story. Donald Trump posted to Truth Social at dawn on Monday and announced a full naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a step nobody in the Pentagon had publicly expected this quickly. The U.S. Navy will intercept and detain every tanker trying to enter or leave the strait, seize any vessel that paid an Iranian transit fee, and destroy any mines laid by Iranian forces in the channel. The president framed the operation as, quote, like Venezuela but bigger, referencing the earlier interdiction campaign against PDVSA oil tankers in the Caribbean. The Pentagon confirmed 2 Arleigh Burke destroyers are already on station, and a third is steaming from Bahrain. For comparison, this is the biggest unilateral naval escalation in the Gulf since the 1988 tanker war between the United States and Iran during the Reagan administration. It lands without a fresh congressional authorization, which is the part that has both libertarian Republicans and progressive Democrats quietly filing briefs with the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in coordinated motions. Brent crude jumped $6 in the first hour of trading, and Mediterranean shipping insurance rates doubled overnight at Lloyd's in London. Expect that cost to land in your gas tank within 10 days and in your grocery bill within 30. Third story, because it follows directly from the second. Goldman Sachs reported first-quarter earnings that crushed every analyst estimate on Wall Street, and the conference call was almost defensive about the size of the beat. Profit up 42% year-over-year, almost entirely driven by trading desks reacting to the Iran crisis in real time. Oil markets are now pricing in a prolonged Hormuz disruption, not a brief incident. Brent is above $110 a barrel for the first time since early 2022. Energy analysts at Copilar, the Belgian cargo tracking firm, warned that the current market price still assumes a partial interdiction, not a full Hormuz closure. If tankers stop moving entirely, Brent could spike above $130 within days, and US pump prices would follow within 10 days at most. The dollar is strengthening against the euro and the yen, which is the one bright spot for American travelers heading to Europe this summer, but consumers will feel the pain at the gas station before the end of next week. Keep your tank at least half full. If you drive for a living, lock in prices now before the next escalation lands. And watch the trucking sector for layoff announcements, because freight margins are about to get squeezed hard. Fourth story from Capitol Hill. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell announced he will resign from the House of Representatives. 4 women have accused Swalwell of sexual misconduct, including a former staffer who says he sexually assaulted her in 2021. Swalwell denies every single allegation, posted a short video calling them, quote, flat false, and suspended his California governor campaign indefinitely. On the same afternoon, in what looks like more than a coincidence, Texas Republican Tony Gonzalez announced he will also resign over separate sexual misconduct allegations in his home district. The two departures cancel each other out in the razor-thin House partisan balance, which is why both party whips agreed to schedule them in the same news cycle and bury the story by Friday. But the governor race implications are enormous. Billionaire Tom Steyer and former Congresswoman Katie Porter are now the 2 leading Democratic contenders to replace term-limited Governor Gavin Newsom in Sacramento. Steyer has the cash and the connections. Porter has the national name recognition and the cable television presence. The winner will run California, the 5th largest economy on Earth, starting January of 2027, and they will inherit the Mamdani fight directly. Fifth story, because Hollywood finally pushed back as a coalition. Over 1,000 filmmakers, actors, and industry professionals signed an open letter opposing Paramount Skydance's proposed $110 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. Jane Fonda, Joaquin Phoenix, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Stiller, and Kristen Stewart are among the signatories on the first page alone. The letter argues that the merger would consolidate an already concentrated media landscape, cut jobs across the production ecosystem, raise prices for consumers, and shrink the creative pipeline that independent filmmakers depend on for early career projects. The deal would unite HBO Max and Paramount Plus under a single streaming roof, giving one company control over about 30% of American scripted production and a similar share of premium sports rights. Regulators in Washington and Brussels are expected to open formal reviews within 2 weeks, and the European Commission has already requested preliminary documentation. Antitrust lawyers I spoke to this morning said this is the first major Hollywood antitrust fight since the Paramount decrees of 1948, and it could define how streaming consolidation is judged for the next decade across the Western world. If you made it this far, thank you. Hit the like button if any of these 5 stories caught you off guard, subscribe to the channel so the next one shows up in your feed, and drop a comment telling me which story hit you hardest today. Every comment, every share, every minute you stayed on this video tells YouTube that independent, plain English news commentary still has a place in a feed full of repeated cable copy. If you can spare a super thanks or a sponsorship, it goes straight into research time, fact-checking, and keeping this channel free from any advertiser ties or political donations. See you in the next one from wherever you are watching in the United States this morning.